I think everybody's hungry and ready for lunch, right? All right, so the faster we get through our little educational program, this is like, remember when you go to Florida and you have the condos that are there and they say, well, you know, come on over and we're gonna get a free dinner and it's, you know, all these courses and it's lovely, all these French chefs cook it for you. Hey, but there's a catch. You have to go in and listen to that presentation about the condos and the timeshare, right? You know, there's always a catch to everything. My name is Walter Laskos. I'm with the Cooperative Credit Union Association. And what we are, we're a trade association representing all the credit unions in Massachusetts. And one of the big things that's important for us is education. Education of those citizens throughout the state, education of all our members of the credit unions. We're especially pleased today to be here at the Disabled American Veterans Hall because we have Hanscom Federal Credit Union and the DAV coming together with the Massachusetts credit unions to host this event to provide some free information about elder scams and abuse and how you all can stay safe, and give you a nice free little lunch to go with it as well too. That's a good deal, right? Yeah, you can't complain. But anyway, I am here with a distinguished panel of experts and professionals that all see this issue of financial elder abuse, exploitation from different perspectives. So I think it's most important for us that we start, we're going to go down the line, we'll have each individual identify themselves, let you know where they're from, and then what we'll do is we will have them talk a little bit about first their observations of what they see going on when it comes to elder exploitation. You know, I mean, you get the phone calls, right, those scam calls, you get the stuff in the mail, and I better turn off my telephone because somebody's calling me. My dentist appointment for next week. But you get those calls, so you know what we're talking about. But the catch is that, you know, there's so much more to it. It's a $40 billion a year industry. $40 billion is what these scammers are making off of seniors like you. And you know, the other thing that bothers me about this is that there are no limitations to who they're going after. My God, look at what you do for our country, the service that you've done for us. And by the way, let me just say this, that we all need to salute you and remember for what you've given of yourself for the country. So I want to say that first right off. And I think before we go to the panel and talk to everyone, what I want to do is I want to introduce the Mayor Joseph Sullivan, who's here with us. So I mean, we're in Braintree, so I think it's important for him to offer us a little greeting. Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that one there is working.
All right, well, welcome to Braintree. I want to acknowledge right at the start that I kind of pulled my neck out the other day, all the heavy lifting I've been doing at Town Hall. And I'm having an MRI this afternoon. My doctor says I'm going to be okay because there's really not much brain power up top. So I think my neck will be all right. But I wanted to join you today, and we've got a distinguished panel. I want to recognize Mike Festa, who does such a great job with the AARP, and Mike's been a friend of mine for a number of years. We served in the legislature together, and I want to thank Hanscom for putting this whole program together. You know, this is an important conversation about protecting our seniors and protecting everyone against the possibility of fraud. Chief Paul Shastny is here to arrest anybody who might be in need of some comfort down at our Braintree facility. And Officer Peter Gillis obviously is here as well. He does a lot of our communication in terms of you know, social media. So we're all here engaged in terms of making sure that you understand the steps that we're taking in an organized way to protect your interest and to eliminate, unfortunately, bad behavior. You know, and perhaps we can't fully eliminate it, but at least we can sensitize folks in terms of what's happening. And so that in doing so, we can at least in some way reduce this type of behavior. So I'm here as part of this distinguished panel to be able to perhaps offer a thought or two along the way. But first and foremost, I want to welcome all of you to Braintree. I see a number of my friends who are here from Braintree, who obviously were here overnight because they're in the front row. And I'm glad that they're here because they care so much about our community. So welcome, welcome to the town, and we're glad to host this event today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Sullivan. Mr. Mayor, did you see their tents and blankets outside as they slept on?
I was actually with them, and then I went home.
Well, folks, not to belabor it so we can get going, because I know you want to eat. First things first. Let's start with Peter Gillis with the police department, and he'll share some of his observations of what he sees about financial scams.
Good afternoon. My name is Officer Peter Gillis. I work with the Community Outreach Unit on the Braintree Police. One of my responsibilities is not only social media, but creating awareness for elderly scams, which is a daily occurrence. When we receive reports of a scam, chances are it's already happened and there's already been a victim. To date, we've received 60 reports of internet phone scams. In 2018, we had just under 100, and those are the ones that were just reported. I'm sure there's a number more that they didn't notify the police. What we do is we reach out to senior groups, Council on Aging, March Christian Center. We've distributed flyers in the church bulletins, and I passed out one of the big flyers to everybody that I put out to all the senior living facilities, such as Grove Manor. If you haven't received one, just see me at the end, and I will make sure you get it. Okay, thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Chief Paul Shastny here. It's a pleasure to be here in front of all my friends, some familiar faces. As the Chief of Police, my job is to make sure that we do everything in our power to prevent victimization and to be guardians, caretakers over people in the society that are preyed upon. One of the common traits, unfortunately, with elderly is that we're a very respectful and trusting population. I'm putting myself in that because I'm over 60. And when we are challenged with someone from a bank or told on the other end of a phone that this is the Social Security Administration or the Federal Income Tax Bureau and that we owe money, we believe them. So we find quite a bit of frustration here as police officers when we hear of people that are falling prey to this scam. One of the things that you'll hear about is when you do get a request for money or anything to do with your finances, because that's what they're targeting, is your finances, talk to a family member, talk to somebody in authority, the police. That's our job. And we would like nothing more than to try to take down some of these organizations and these people that are trying to hurt you. So we are a resource. We're always going to be there for you, no matter what time of the day or night. Don't fall for any of these scams. If something doesn't feel right, if you're suspicious, trust your instinct. We will be in a position to verify whether it's true or not. So I'll pass this mic on.
And before Mike takes the mic, let me just say this. Remember what the chief said, because I do this program in 4 states, in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Delaware. And believe me, a lot of times, and my father-in-law in Albany, New York is 75, and he thinks the same way. I don't want to call the police, I don't want to bother them the whole bit. You gotta keep them informed. You are their eyes and their ears out in the community. And because of you and you calling and letting them know what goes on, they're able to be successful and protect you. So when there are scams like the chief says, don't hesitate to keep them informed. Michael.
Thank you, Will. Mike Festa, ARP State Director. It's a real honor to be here, and I just want to state, in particular, personally, my daddy was 100% DAV. Lost him 30 years ago. But I come here, I'm reminded of the Veterans Service, and I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for your service. I also want to thank you for coming because you're telling us that you are aware that something needs to be done, personally, with your neighbors and your friends. Now, ARP is very much engaged in fraud watch prevention. This booklet that I passed out is targeted specifically to our veterans. We understand that some of these efforts are intentionally taking advantage of veterans, which is hard to believe that this is the nature of the beast. We are very familiar with the fact that this is not limited to seniors. I think it's interesting to note that millennials are actually more likely to be scammed online because they use it more, but they do all kinds, there's a lot of bait and switch, there's a lot of clickbait, they have expressions that perhaps some of you are not familiar with. The takeaway, we're going to talk, I think, in the next round about some of the specifics of how to avoid being scammed. But I want to, again, point out that this booklet gives you a lot of that detail, number one. Number two is, I'm a former prosecutor. I look at Mike Morrissey, a colleague, former colleague in the legislature, and I see my chief to my right, and I'm thinking, the problem is if it gets to the DA's office or it gets to the police department, you're already too late. It's really important to understand that this is about preventing the loss of that money. Once you lose it, the odds are extremely high that you'll never see it again. And you often ask the question, so why am I getting these, Chinese voices on the phone now? You know what it's about? It's about percentage. If you can throw out 100,000 automatically dialed calls from China, and you might get a Chinese-speaking American, and you might keep them on the phone long enough, you're going to give them a live person to then sell that phone number for scammers. If you've got one person getting one victim, they may make enough money in that one phone call to live for 3 years in the country they come from. For $5,000, that's what we're talking about. So the idea is that even though the odds are very low that they're going to actually get a victim, the truth of the matter is that the technology is such that they can reach any one of us at any time for any reason. And the last thing I want you to consider is that for ARP, we know this is an ongoing thing. The scams continue to be different. The common denominator actually is, they call it hijacking your amygdala, which is your emotional part of the brain. This is why grandparents, grandchildren scams, IRS scams are so successful, because what happens is you get emotional and you don't think, and if you were thinking about this, you would realize no. So ARP is very much here to be helpful. We have a fraud watch network, which is constantly updated and refreshed for information that will give you what you need to protect yourself in the future. And I look forward to additional conversation about some of those techniques. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Francisco Urena. I'm Secretary to the Massachusetts Department of Veteran Services. And so on behalf of our Governor Charlie Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito and our 350,000 veterans that call Massachusetts home, it's extremely important for us to be here today sharing something that affects not only our veterans and our veteran families, but affects every person, not just those aging, but every single person within our Commonwealth and throughout. And so when the opportunity came about, I said yes, because I know how challenging this topic is. And as we talk about some of those figures, $40 billion and growing. And it is something that at any time, and the more information you all have, the better prepared you can be. and the better prepared you can have in those social conversations that you all have when you take this back into your communities, to be able to protect others as well as the way you're protecting yourselves by learning. You know, there's a lot of goodwill that happens in the veterans community, especially veterans that want to see future generations of veterans do better. And when you see those knocks on the door that do happen, or those requests over the phone to leave a check or to leave money in envelopes, yes, that happens. I'm sure I can see the chief and our law enforcement nodding, because those are things that are occurring. And perhaps, again, that goodwill of people that want to make a difference. So in every city and town in Massachusetts, we have a veteran service officer. And here in Braintree, you have one of the very best. And Cynthia could be a guide to you all when you get somebody knocking on your door, or looking, perhaps not as much knocking on the door, that those phone calls of veteran organizations that you may not have heard of, and you want to see if it's truly going to make a difference. You can call your local veteran service officer and ask about that said agency or that said organization. And more than often, the fact that you ask that person that you're going to think about it, that may be better off than just committing to more time over the phone. And so as we leave this panel, there'll be some great takeaways. And I'm so very, again, so very proud to be here and to be setting this great community tone of, again, giving a sense of opportunity for success. Thank you very much.
It'll be a tough act to follow. I'm David Sprague. I'm the CEO of Hanson Federal Credit Union. And as a financial institution, we're on the front lines of identifying financial abuse and exploitation. The elderly are particularly susceptible, whether because of physical or cognitive impairment, or just loneliness. The people that perpetrate these frauds are extremely skillful at playing on your emotions, trying to gain trust and friendship, which we're all susceptible to that. In addition, the elderly may face an additional level of threat, not from a career criminal, but from a caregiver. In some cases, we've seen even a family member, which is particularly disturbing to us. Because we feel so strongly about this abuse, we've had all of our 240 employees, myself included, take the CU Senior Safeguard training to help our employees identify suspected financial abuse of the elderly. What's frustrating to us is sometimes when we do identify abuse, we're unable to convince the person that they are being taken advantage of, because the scammer has done such a good job ingratiating themselves with their victim. That is especially frustrating for us when we're not able to convince someone that in fact they are being scammed. So there's a common thread here. The scams actually are somewhat age-old, but the way of perpetrating them has evolved to include the telephone more often than mail in the old days, and these days email or even the internet. So this whole fraud is as old as can be, but it has gotten much more pronounced with the advent of technology. So thank you.
This probably isn't a very pleasant topic, but it is the reality of what's happening. And I do want to recognize Cynthia Harris, who's just joined us now, our VSO here in the town of Braintree, who works very closely with the Secretary. And I want to thank the Secretary for being with us today. Let me be just blunt and perhaps a bit simplistic. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. You know, when you get a phone call or you get a request via email for some information associated with your confidential, Social Security number, things such as that, don't easily give it out because it's the beginning, most probably, of a scam of some sort. And so I think the best thing you can do in terms of having a good defense is to ask questions. Specifically, what is this about? Why do you need this information? And don't be offering information that could get you into a trap. Particularly on the computer usage side, and I'll be candid as well, in terms of my usage of technology. It's better than it was a year ago, but it still isn't at the highest level. And so folks can use the computer, and the viruses can attack the computer that you're using. And when you really think about it, if a foreign government can crack into our democratic processes in terms of elections, there's some real ability by some very intelligent people to access information from all of us, which could prove problematic. I remember my father giving me advice one time, and what he said to me was, Joseph, there's a lot of thieves out there, and a thief can be a pretty smart person. He wasn't encouraging me to be a thief, but the point was that there's a lot of scammers who are intelligent people, and they know the wherewithal in which to access information from you, and in doing so, gain some real value for themselves. So, again, ask the question. Don't be readily available to give out the information. It may sound simplistic, but if you ask questions, you may get a hang-up on a phone call, or if you're asking a question via email, that email trail or thread may quickly dissolve itself. So always be on the lookout for that, always ask questions, and let me underline the point that others have made. We are here in the town of Braintree, whether or not you live in Braintree, or whether or not you desire to live in Braintree, we're here to be helpful. And if you have a concern, you can always contact my office, but also particularly contact Cynthia, and we're going to be there and ready to help you.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Dan Stack, and I'm the Department Adjutant for the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. And I want to first off thank the cooperative credit unions, along with Hanscom, for Hanscom Credit Union, for putting this program on today, and for hosting it, along with Chapter 29 for allowing us to utilize their facility. The reason the DAV is getting involved with this particular program is that the majority of our membership, our 28,000 members, happens to be over the age of 60. And not by just a small margin, we're talking a very large margin. I know looking at me, you're saying, well, Dan, you're probably very young and don't have to worry about this. But as it's turning out, we're all at that age where we are starting to get emails or telephone calls, and what do you do with those calls? For example, as I was leaving the office this morning, I had an email telling me I had $3 million waiting for me. All I had to do was contact them and send them some money. The funny part of it is if we do contact them, when we click on that, immediately it opens up our entire email system to fraud to go out to our members. So we need to be very careful about that. While we're in Washington, D.C., on our legislative conference, I got an email from my department commander asking me for some money. He needed it right away because he was unfortunately in a bind. Come to find out, I called him because I said, "Gee, Paul, what's the problem? I'll gladly send you $500, but what's up?" "Dan, I didn't email you." And a fraud like that happened. So it's not just somebody looking to harm a senior, it's somebody trying to take money from all of us. So no matter what your age, you need to be aware of what to look out for, and you need to be able to act upon it. And so the DAV wants to be a responsible partner with the credit unions here to make sure that our membership is going to be aware of what to look for so that they can take the appropriate action, both for themselves, but also to make sure that they get this information out to their chapter members, and keep bringing it up at your meetings so that those that are there will also start spreading the word. As you know, they say if you want something heard, don't say it once, don't say it twice. You have to say it 3 times before that person really listens to it. That's why most of you call me 1, 2, 5 times so that I can figure it out. But anyhow, it's great to be here today. Again, I want to thank Chapter 29, Hanscom Credit Union, and this panel for being here so that we can impart to you what to look out for.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Canavan, and I'm representing Norfolk County Sheriff Jerome McDermott today. Sheriff McDermott is unable to attend. He had to attend a funeral for a staff member's family. So I do oversee the senior program. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, and we have a number of senior programs that we offer, but in the past probably 5 years, and we have teamed up with the District Attorney's Office, and we've gone out to the senior centers and senior communities in Norfolk County, and we have found a constant theme. It's scams. They want to know about scams. What type of scams? How they become victims. So to keep it simple, what we've noticed is I always notice the urgency of the call. Is it urgent? Like, I need the money now. You need to pay me now, or something bad's going to happen. Whether it be your grandchild's going to be kept in jail, or we're going to come after you and arrest you. So also the method of payment is usually peculiar. It's usually asked for a gift card, or they ask for Western Union the money. Sometimes they do ask for cash, and sometimes they will say, well, we know where you live, leave it on your front door. But I do ask everybody, simple, as you say, as Mayor Sullivan said, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true, and also the urgency of it. You know, over the years, you've paid gas bills, you've paid electric bills. We've had some aggressive, I'm sure of all old people money, but nothing to the fact of, and I think I can speak for your Braintree Police Department, which does a great job, but I don't think they call up anybody and say, we're gonna come arrest you. You know, hold on, but if you pay us $50 out of 100, we want to arrest you. You know, they don't adjudicate. You know, that's a warrant from a judge, I believe. So what we do ask people to, also from the Sheriff's Department, for jury duty, we were a victim of that. People were calling up saying, it's jury duty, you missed it, you have to pay us $900, or we're going to arrest you. Okay? There was urgency, and they threatened you, and it was a method of payment was gift card. We don't take gift cards at the jail. So we also have, again, we go out through the community. I want to thank this panel on behalf of Sheriff McDermott. We want to thank everyone that's attending here. And again, what I tell everybody, we go to the 28 communities. You have a great police department here in Braintree. If you hear of a scam, you think you were scammed, call your local police right away. That way they can spread the word. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. We have one more person to go here, one very famous person, your district attorney.
Thank you. I was a touch late because I have the summer intern starting today, so I had to speak with them. But future lawyers and victim advocates. And the chief and Michael were kind of right. I'm the last stop. I'm the person you don't want to see, because that means you have been a victim, and we're trying to identify who's responsible. And you've heard from all the speakers, some of this is coming from overseas, people that are, people that are very difficult to track down, and they will be happy getting small amounts of your money, and everybody is, you know, everybody has said the same thing. It's all, if someone's talking about the money, then the red flags have to go up. If someone's looking for you to wire something, or get a gift card, I mean, who takes gift cards? Except for, you know, you giving it to someone as a gift. We had a cab driver in Quincy, and I see this in Quincy people here as well, who was taking someone to a store, Walmart, to pick up gift cards because they were being scammed. You get the phone call that just say, come and call up and say, hello, is this Mr. Smith? And you say yes, and said, your grandson, we have your grandson, he's being held in jail. And so, of course, they start thinking, they say, well, is that Stephen or Johnny? Yeah, Johnny. And they have no idea who they're talking to. It's just they want to engage in a conversation and to get you to send money at the end of the day. And everybody's right, it's all about your money. And as you get older, obviously fixed incomes become more critical. But there's certain things, obviously, we take it serious, we go after those people. We also, we look for, we tell people to get the annual credit report and take a look on it to see if there's anything out of the ordinary. Or if you start seeing withdrawals, and the credit unions and the banking institutions have gotten much better. I like to think credit unions generally are smaller, closer to the people. This is probably a plug for credit unions, but the banks, they get pretty sophisticated on identifying expenses that aren't your expenses. And so if you start seeing withdrawals from your account that you don't recognize, then you know the bottom line is you have to go to someone you trust. Go to someone at the credit union, call the police department. And we have people pretending to be employees of utility companies. They want to get in your house. That's generally just to rob you. That's not to take, you know, they'll take your money, they'll take your valuables, but they want to get in the house. Any doubt whatsoever, just say no. Don't let them in. Say, well, you stay right there and call the police. Trust me, they'll be gone in a heartbeat. And if you tell someone on the other end of the phone and said, I have this being taped, I said, so what number do you want me to call back? Because I have to call the police now. They'll hang up, you know, and no one charges you for a Social Security card. That's still free. And just the scams they're looking for. The old ones are still out there. When I'm supposed to, I think, refer to them as itinerant workers that would travel around the country at different seasons, and they still wanted they want to seal coat your driveway with, they use motor oil, so the first rainstorm, it's gone. That's still out there. It's been out there for 50 years or longer. So it's just, someone had suggested, they're just looking for new ways to get your money that they have been trying to for years, except technology has made it much easier to reach you. And so you just have to be a little bit more on guard. So I agree with all the speakers that, you just have to be cautious, and it gets harder as we get older. And it's why they prey on older people, but it's just caution. Tell someone, because people get to be embarrassed, and they don't tell anybody, and the problem gets to be bigger. And so if you make a mistake, no big deal. Make the mistake and learn from it right away, but don't let that go on for a period of time, because people get taken for some very serious money at times. So you have to be here and sorry to be a little late.
Thank you, District Attorney Morrissey. Appreciate that much. I think you've heard here very clearly this morning. One of the key things is verify. Don't just act emotionally or just react to whatever call you're getting, but it's important to verify. If you get a call that Johnny is in the jail and they need to send money to get him out of jail, call Johnny's parents. Or with a lot of these other things, just hang up. You'll hear if it's important, they'll call back. I think we also come from a generation where we feel it's impolite to hang up. But think about it. Look what these people are trying to do. They're trying to steal thousands of dollars of your life savings. So just hang up. Now, before we're going to go through one more quick little round here for just talk a little bit about resources, and I'll remind everyone that they stand between you and lunch. So it'll be brief. It'll be brief. But I also want to call attention over in the red dress is Ludmila Mignosa. She is with the Attorney General's office, and she's passed out some materials and papers as well too. She will be here. We have over here the Chairman Emeritus of Hanscom Federal Credit Union, Paul Murata, who's with us today as well too. And of course you know everyone on the panel. So I think what we're going to see here is that we're all going to be around. Approach any one of us, one-on-one. We're going to be here for you so we can answer your questions, give you further information. You've seen what was passed out already by all of us from the different pamphlets we have. There's a lot of good resources there. There's two things. One is, like I mentioned to you, that I want to remind you of, is to verify. But there's one favor I'm going to ask of you before we go through and make the final last comments, and that is this. There's a lot of friends that you have, there's a lot of shut-ins who aren't here today, who could not make it. So we need you to be a good Samaritan like that cab driver over in Quincy who protected that elderly lady from losing thousands of dollars. We need you to be a good Samaritan and take what you've learned here today back to the shut-in that you know at the parish, back to a family member that could not be here today, and share with them what you've learned here, because you just might save them from losing thousands of dollars. So you promise me that you'll do that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's go through final comments on everyone in terms of resources that are available. District Attorney?
Call the DA's office, we have people that focus on all the crime. We rely heavily on the police and on the veterans agents and other departments within the city and towns. They reach right out to us all the time. Don't be afraid to get back to verify. Call someone before it's too late. And the police, you're not bothering them. They love being called. It's hard to say chief, but they'd rather be called early than have to deal with a victim. So don't be afraid to call them. If you have any doubt whatsoever, the branch of the surrounding communities, the police departments in Norfolk County are really good capable, and they will respond. So don't just call. That's the way. Another resource after the fact, obviously, should be trying to get your money back. That's never easy.
I just want to say in the last year, I've had 4 warrants for my arrest personally, and I'm still here, so, to touch on what both DA said and moderator, please just call the police. I receive so many, I pick up the phone in the community policing section, and the first thing out of the resident's mouth is, I hate to bother you, I know you're busy, and then they start talking about this phone call they got, or this letter in the mail they received, and it's a scam. And the last thing, because I'm just hungry as everybody else, please tell your friends, your neighbors, you know, our elderly is not necessarily on social media, and the word of mouth is the best way we can get the awareness out. So, thank you.
I want to talk about partnerships. We're here with a selected group, all the elderly and the folks that are mostly affected by this. On my side of the fence, as a police chief, we have endeavored to form partnerships with FedEx, United Parcel Service, the mail, and anyone that does deliver packages. And as of, it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, a friend of mine who works for FedEx intercepted a large parcel of money that came from a home in Braintree that was destined for some boiler house, someplace that was an arrival point where it was going to be broken up and sent to another location that a scammer had set out. My friend in FedEx contacted me. We did the investigation back to the people that took the money out of the bank. Reluctantly, they admitted after the police officer identified that this is a potential scam. Reluctantly, they agreed to cooperate, but they were afraid that they were going to be harmed because part of this was a threat. As you heard Joe Canavan talk about, there was the other significant part of this, which